So our main topic here today is going to be the new map pool. So let's go ahead and bring that up onto the screen. Obviously, it's a new season. Season 3 of 2020 has begun, and we have a whole bunch of new maps. 4 new 1v1 maps that I'd like to go over. So let's go to the first one here. Jagannatha, LE. And this was made by Tim A. He says, accelerator zones are placed in 4 strategic locations to allow players to quickly change paths. The layout was carefully constructed with the help of Twitch chat. Large rocks. We don't need to go over this map. This map sucks. Large rocks will block paths between the accelerator zones. Another path outside a late game expansion is partially blocked by rocks. Okay, let's bring that up on the screen. I want to hear your guys' first impressions of it. And of course, you guys have played on these maps now some. So how these maps are all feeling for your races, the different matchups, things like that.
Banelings are pretty good. Just speed zone them up.
Dude.
Just ram into everything.
Banelings are pretty good. That was the deepest thing you've ever said, Vibe, right there. Like, oh, the best unit in the game's pretty good. Sick. Okay.
There's some huge speed zones on this map, yeah.
Yeah, how do those play out, actually?
You just avoid them. You just don't go near them.
I feel like for Zerg, like by the time you get attacked by a lot of stuff, creep is already there, and then you can just like ram into them really hard. So it makes sure. I feel like this is definitely an easier Zerg map, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where it's very long lengthwise and very short widthwise. So as a Terran, it's very hard to get damage done because the Zerg just has such a defending advantage with the creep spread. It's already going to be across both ends of the map anyways, and you have to travel so long just to get on his half of the map. So this is just naturally a better Zerg map in TVZ.
Honestly, I think the map pool in total, like not just this map, but all the maps, at least from my perspective, they feel really easy to spread creep on. Like all of them feel that way.
That's because Zerg is easy to spread creep with.
It feels great.
I will say, of the new maps, I think so far this one's my favorite. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean, I do see it is massive, and like you could, like it can be tough versus Zerg, of course. I think all the maps are actually a little bit tough versus Zerg, but this map I actually feel like I have a decent shot at getting these 4 bases here. You know, it's like a ramp, and then it's like another little choke up there. I mean, I don't know. This map, I feel like for my 4 base setup compared to the other 3 new maps, I feel best about this map getting 4 bases up. And I will see, I mean, we'll get to it later on, but this new map pool, I think it's interesting, but a lot of the maps, like, I don't know how to explain it. It just like they seem huge, and all of a sudden, it feels like you have no bases left. I've had a couple games where, like, I don't know. It's like you're mining 4 bases, and then it's like, where do I take this next base? And then you're fighting, and then I don't know. I think there's going to be some real scrappy games in this map pool.
No, I think it's because what Jason said too, because it's really thin. It's not very like widthwise, very big. It reminds me of like back when the maps like Ohana used to exist, where like it was really easy to control your side, but then once you had to expand towards your opponent, it got really hard. Like you had to win the fight, basically.
Yeah, I can definitely see the 4 base layout that you were talking about, McCanning. That looks like really reasonably defendable for Protoss, but then like, I mean, those bases that are kind of in the center. Like, oh my god, I don't even Maro be nuking those.
You can set up that pocket base too with like a bunch of cannons if you can get it set up, but yeah. I don't mind.
The turtleneck is disgusting too on this map.
What is?
Turtleneck.
Oh, yikes.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I can believe it. I'm kind of a fan of the speed zones. I don't know. It's at least different. I really don't have a big care either way about speed zones. You know, I'm not a massive guy that's like, oh no, yes, or no, or yes, we need speed zones. But I think 4 speed zones in these locations, like I can get behind it.
You need to get some Reddit clips going, dude, with some sped up disruptor shots. Like,
do you know why I like this map? Do you guys know how you actually pronounce the name of this map?
Oh,
it's pronounced. It's quickly, but it's Juggernaut, and you have to say it quick. So it's like Juggernaut. So it sounds like Juggernaut because the origin of the word Juggernaut is actually spelt as the name of that map.
Are you trolling?
I'm not trolling.
Whoa, dictionary.com, slow down there, buddy.
My chat the other day was telling me it's pronounced like Jaeger, like it's like and it's like Samantha. It's like, so it's like they're telling me to pronounce it like Jagannatha. So you're telling me I'm completely
That's
off,
like the
Jason?
Swedish
Yeah,
way
I
to
looked.
pronounce
I
it.
looked it up and found it on at least 7 different sites. It's Jagannatha.
Have you
There's an
spoken
A
to
at
the
the
map
end for
maker?
some reason. Yes, the map maker linked me the source of
Really?
the name being Juggernaut. Yeah.
So when I get this map, I'm supposed to pronounce it Juggernaut, basically.
Yeah. I think
Can't
so.
tell if he's serious or not, guys.
I
Artosis, fine, help
literally
me
was
out.
not sure of it either.
I think he's serious. He's
sounds
always very
serious.
deadpan, so it's hard to know sometimes. But I think he's
I would
serious.
troll about a lot of stuff. But
You
this
would
one,
never troll about a
I
map
want to
name.
brag about this map having my name, dude. I'm gonna make sure.
It's so far away from your name, though. Like
It is.
has
It
a
is.
J
It
and
is
G.
a really weird way to spell it.
So when I get this map, I'm supposed to say I'm playing on Juggernaut LE.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying it. I don't know. I'm just not buying it.
You don't know how to read is what's going to happen if you call it that.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, what is this guy saying?
There's
They're going to
like
be
20
watching Jason. They're like, he is so arrogant to think he doesn't even know how to spell. Like, it's so crazy.
I can't tell. We can't wait till we check out McCanning Shade next map.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you going to spell that one? It's only going to have an M and a C in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So overall for well, actually, let me ask this kind of more broad question about this map and just in general, because we're seeing accelerator zones a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Overall thoughts on accelerator zones?
They're awesome.
I feel like you guys are a little bit split.
They're awesome. Just you got to avoid them. That's.
That doesn't sound like they're awesome. If you have to avoid it,
But
that's like.
But Jason, in theory, it should go both ways, right? Like if banelings are chasing you, your Marines are also going to be able to run out just as fast. It's kind of like back to zero. Am I wrong?
But
I would say you're wrong.
If your army is
Well-
outside of the radius of the speed zone, they can use that speed zone to get on top of your army quicker.
Well, yes.
So that's why
but-
I say avoid them, because if you're near them, the lings, they're going to run towards your tanks so quickly that you're going to get less shots off on the lings if you're near
Versus
them.
Zerg, yeah. Versus Zerg, I can see that.
Yeah, because it's
Like-
all melee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of times when like I'm falling back from like before I enter the speed zone, and then I go through the speed zone, and we're both going through the speed zone. You're kind of similar, you
It
know?
has its uses. It does. Like flying
speed-
drops across the map are infinitely faster if you go through those zones.
Yeah, it's true.
I think
What
they're
do you
fun.
think?
I think they're fun overall. I mean, it like I'm playing it from like a Protoss perspective as well. I think they're pretty fun because of what I was saying to you a second ago. I love that it actually speeds up disruptor shots. That I actually have had a few games that have been really fun where you just like smash an army that you don't expect to hit because it goes so fast. But
Yes.
yeah, no, I think they're for fun purposes. I think they're doing it. They're changing it up a little bit, making it a little bit more variety. So
Now,
I would
I have
say just don't overdo it. Is all.
I have a question. Did the first map they introduced with zones? I think they only gave us a slow zone, right, in the beginning.
I hate
Yeah,
slow
slow
zones.
zones to start.
I hate slow zones.
Slow
I
zones.
actually
Okay.
don't like that. Yeah,
So we don't like slow zones, but we like speed zones.
it just slows it down. I don't know.
No one likes getting slower. It's all about like getting faster. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of StarCraft patches I think are frustrating because they're like, we nerfed like 12 things. It's like, fuck, you made everything in the game weaker? Like, what is the point here?
I actually saw a Void Ray go through a speed zone and it looked like it blinked past it.
Yeah, but then the Void Ray shows up and it does negative damage, so it doesn't even matter.
It's amazing. What do you think about the sizes of the zones?
Yeah, I think those are for like Zerg specifically. I think that favors Zerg a lot.
Yeah.
Just like because a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have like the fight will happen right as your creep touches them too. So that's like the staging point for where the fight's going to happen too. And it's just I don't know. It seems pretty scary. I feel like this map. But the thing that I think is cool about it, here's like some future logic. I think people are going to realize timing attacks are horrible on this map, and I think this map will just become a defensive macro map. Like in the end, for most people, like it's not going to be. It's not going to be like an all-in base map, and in my opinion, I love maps that revolve around macro, which is why, for instance, like Golden Wall, I'm really glad that map's gone because that map did not revolve around macro.
Okay.
You'd rather have Submarine instead of Golden Wall?
Honestly, I vetoed that too, but I think Submarine's a less worse choice than Golden Wall. I hate Golden Wall.
Okay.
Golden Wall is the first map I never played, like on a ladders rotation. I looked at the picture of it and I just vetoed it.
I think that's reasonable as a Terran player, to be honest. Okay, so Juggernaut. Overall balance wise for your race, all the matchups. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. Like, which matchup do you feel good? Which matchup do you feel bad? Is it a veto? What do you think?
Were you asking Jason there, or were you just calling
That's what I
all
thought.
three of you? I want.
Okay.
Well, I have three different races on it, so I'm like,
I just don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I map name, I guess.
Tell me the map name is. It's all getting confusing now. I don't know what to do.
Jason, you go first, man. It's your map.
That's
It's true. I mean, I'm not going to veto this map personally at this moment unless some really crazy strategies come out. But I play BattleMech in TVZ, so it's not really a big deal for me to have longer maps because BattleMech isn't really dependent on mutas chasing you around because mutas are just bad versus BattleMech. And then the other two matchups seem fine. It's going to probably, like Vibe said, turn into a turtle map. I see a lot of turtleneck Terrans on this map coming up in the future for sure.
Okay. Vibe, how about you? What do you? Oh, okay. McCanning, you next.
No. I got to hear the Zerg spot first before I give my Protoss take.
Yeah, no, I like it. Actually, I don't know if it's my favorite map out of the pool, but I do like it a lot. It's it feels comfortable to spread creep on. Seriously, like because the thin maps are just so easy to get like fully to their like third base by like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It's like it feels like you just have everything, and Overlord spots are super easy. So Zerg perspective, it's really good against Protoss and Terran. ZVZ, I don't know. I don't mind this map at all. This map actually I feel comfortable playing it again in any matchup, and like it feels good too that I can be greedy and shut down aggression with like heavier focus on like tier 1 with just creep spread speed zone because Bane's just can crush, and I feel like it allows you to be a little greedier if someone does like a really like awkward early game timing. And then Baneling's speed plus speed zone is absurd. It's crazy, and those speed zones are huge, so it feels good.
Cool.
I think this is, I mean, it's still so early, honestly. I'm sure if you had the same exact episode 4 weeks from now, we might have different answers because it is still really early. But I would say PvZ and PvT, I don't necessarily mind. I do see what Vibe is saying, especially if you're trying to push onto creep, like at that fourth base where that speed zone is, it could be tough. But I think this is one of your best shots as Protoss on this map pool, as we're going to see with the other map pools, to get a nice 4 base. So I don't mind it versus Zerg or Terran right now. I think it's probably my favorite of the new maps right now.
Cool. Okay. It sounds like you guys overall think it's a pretty reasonable map. I got to throw in my 2 cents. I have not played this map, but I like the placement of the zones much better than Deathaura. Like the Deathaura zones don't feel like they actually come into play like very much at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Whereas these, I'm like, well, you can't actually avoid these. These things are like really, it's pretty crazy, especially those 2 center ones.
I mean, because a lot of games in StarCraft are like side harass, right? And Deathaura is right down the middle. But on this map, you know, if you're sending things down the sides, then faster.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. We'll move on from Jagannatha or Jagannatha or whatever the fuck we're calling that map. All right. The next map, NightShade LE. Looks like a Maris map. Mara says, NightShade is a typical standard map with 2 third base options and 7 bases per player and can support a wide variety of playstyles. The destroyable debris and rocks give players a bit of security early on, and destroying them makes it easier to maneuver armies around the map. All right, let's take a look at this map. NightShade. What are your first thoughts about this map?
I'll give the boring answer, whereas it, like it said in the description, it feels very standard. And I mean, it's any standard map's going to feel comfortable to play on right off the bat. And people might find things that might be really annoying. Like I think if you look at either top right or bottom left, there's a cliff that overlooks the side expansion. And I'm pretty sure, like for instance, if like there was like a tank push, you could like siege someone's base right there. And I feel like it makes it a little bit harder if you're going to take the corner base rather than expand in the opposite side of that for both sides. So like if you take the snowy side more or less, like the opposite, there's some abusable spots I feel like, but that doesn't even come into play off your first 3 bases anyways. So it's a super standard map, and by then you have good control of the map usually, as long as you're not super far behind. So it feels good to play on.
Seems like there's a very clear third base option in this map, even though the description said there was 2 good ones. Like that triangle low ground third, even as a Terran player, isn't like the greatest third to take. And it's actually kind of a difficult fourth too, because that is a really wide open area.
Yeah, the first 3 bases feel so standard. I feel like if I squinted at this map, I could see like 5 or 6 different maps that we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with Jason said. I think the base vibe likes on the low ground is actually something I do not like on this map. I think it's hard to take, and it's so wide open, right below your main base. It's like close to your main, but it can be very hard to get it set up. And then this is one of the maps, well, I think honestly I've had it with most of these maps where once you start getting past 3 bases, 4 bases, you start getting close to the opponent here. Like if you win in a line with your 4 bases, and then they went for the snowy base that vibe liked, your 4th bases are very close to each other. And I don't know, this map I've had some trouble, I feel like, getting the right 4th base, and I don't know. This map has felt a little bit tougher for me to get actually that clean 4th base, because even the bottom base kind of feels like it's on an island sometimes, and they can sneak army units down there, and it can be sometimes hard to spot. I wouldn't say I dislike the map, but I think I need more practice on it for sure, because I think it's a little bit hard versus Zerg specifically.
It's a pretty small map. Like I'm sure we're going to see probably a lot of early aggression strategies on a map like this. It's got an interesting natural, like it has the ramp, but it also has the wide open area that leads to the 3rd. So there's still plenty of room for people to come in and abuse tank positions. But I mean, as long as the Protoss can hold those ramps, it's actually like not that bad though. So
yeah,
I don't know, like because Protosses tend to put like 1 pylon between their net and the 3rd, and then that's where they kind of set up their shield battery defense. And if you were to go in through the 3rd itself, like that itself is a pretty choked off entrance. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you think of what was that map we had? Was it Ascension? There was a map we had a couple times ago where you had 3 bases and it had cleaner ramps and more choked ramps. I don't remember the name of it. It was recent.
Maybe Acropolis? This map looks like Acropolis a little bit.
I don't remember the name. No, it was not Acropolis, but
it has the same layout as Acropolis, like the first 3 bases.
It's the 3rd bases. But either way, I think I will say on this map, sometimes I have a hard time getting. I think you can be a little bit tricky on this map. Sometimes I lose track of the army on this map, and you can kind of, as Jason was saying, I mean, the Protosses could guard the 3rd like that, but the 3rd and the natural, I don't know, that little divot there in between your 3rd and the natural, I don't know, it just gets awkward. I could see the tank pushes kind of sharking around, waiting for me to get into the wrong spot, and then if they set up, it could get dicey, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest.
Okay. So a little bit more negative on this map than Jagannatha?
Well, for me, they're all going to be a little bit more negative because I think I like that other map the most.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. And the thing is, you can be biased too, because I could have had a couple games in this map where I was playing. I can remember I had a game versus Zerg on this map that I just kept losing my 4th base's workers. They'd come in from different angles. I'd try to top base, I'd try the snow base. I just kept losing both sides. And, you know, I could just be haunted from that game, and maybe it's not that bad. So, you know, again, I don't know. Maybe give me another month, and I'll say this is the best map ever created.
So, all right, well, we get McCanning's view on the map right now, but Vibe, how do you feel about the Zerg matchups just overall on the map?
Yeah, I like the lots of like flank paths. I like the snow area where it's so wide open. It feels good for like flanks and just like surrounds. I really like how they didn't actually, if you notice in like the bottom and the top, they didn't fully connect the weeds, so it makes it really easy to creep spread. Again, that's stuff like that it makes your life just easy, super easy to like fully coat the map super fast without even having to have overlord spotters.
Yeah.
And then even like the middle part, the very center of the map where there's like a full brush, there's cliffs next to it you can jump up and down, so it's super easy to spread this map up. And then this map too, I feel like if we're talking like, I know you guys like the 3 base where it's just in a straight line, but like if you take a fast 4th, it's so easy to cover everything. It's so close together. And then if you get rid of those rocks in front of your 4th, it's really easy to reinforce with like good mobility everywhere around your base. So, and then, yeah, like you guys are saying too, it's not that very much of a long map. So I feel like it gives Zerg a lot of variety because you can do aggression if you want to. Like it's like a smaller map, definitely, you know, I feel like if I'm going to do like a Ravager Island or something like that, I have more of a chance for it to really break somebody. So I like it. I think I like the other map better, the Jagannatha or Jagannatha. But yeah, this map's pretty good too. It's standards, and I like standard maps mostly.
Okay, cool. Jason, what about you?
Yes. From Terran, I don't see any reason why I would ever veto this map. This seems like a pretty good Terran map. Any small map with a lot of good tank positions is going to be something that's good for Terran, especially aggressive Terrans, and especially Terrans that play Bio and TVZ. So, yeah, looks good. I don't have too much to say about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it definitely isn't as spicy as that first map. So,
yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next map. This one called Oxide LE, made by the Music 246, and the music says, a smaller map with rocks that lengthen attack routes early game, fast natural base to natural base timing, and map becomes high tension once the rocks are down. All right, let's take a look at that one. Very rusty. What are you guys thinking about this one?
Honestly, I feel like this map is very similar to the first map we looked at without speed zones. Like, in my opinion, to a degree, it feels very thin again, and like I was saying before, as like a general theme of this entire ladder pool they added is it's really easy to spread creep on it and have like all vision with Zerg, because I can just be like 3 overlords on the right, 3 overlords on the left, and then like 6 tumors just going down the center, and I just see everything. So. It feels very easy to be defensible here. Like, I always know what angle I'm going to be hit from, and as long as you have a decent scout in their base with Zerg, it's really easy to like make a judgment call as to like where you need to be at any time to defend yourself.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about the fourth based options on this map. Like the fourth base on the low ground from the main, like the triangle one, that one is really far away from your obvious third base location, and the way it wraps around, like I don't know if you can see the little terrain blocker at the fourth base, but that makes it like quite easy for somebody to like run up there and get a really good position up on you, just because of how far away it is from where your army should naturally be positioned. But other than that, I agree it's pretty similar to the first map we looked at, like except no speed zones.
And look at it really fast again too, in bottom right and top left, how they have the weeds again. They keep spreading them. This is like another theme of this, and I'm just gonna say, as Zerg for creep spreading, it makes it go so much faster. If for whatever reason you're being pressured, and like let's say like a Viking or a Phoenix or something killed your overlords, you can still spread your creep super easy.
So, what I'm gathering, next time map makers, let's make it a little tougher to spread creep.
Dude,
I'm figuring it out here.
Jesus, I spread creep so easy.
I never even thought about it before, the ease of spreading creep, and now I'm like, Jesus, let's work on that next time. I will say, a map pool like this, or a map like this, I don't know. I don't know if I completely agree it's that similar to the first one. I kind of see it to an extent, but I agree that fourth base it can be very hard on this map, and sometimes you get really tunneled on a couple of bases here. It's kind of funny because it looks like you might be able to get to a big macro stage, but this one, again, if you take that low ground fourth, and then I don't know, your bases start to get like, once you get past like 4 bases, your bases start, I mean, I guess that's any map, but something about these new maps, I swear, like once you start getting to the later stages, it feels like you're just on top of each other when you're expanding. And I will say though, I kind of like how this map, I guess we already have Pillars of Gold, but this is now, there are 2 maps now where there is a ramp to your natural. It used to be Golden Wall and Pillars of Gold, and now this one you have like a ramp going up to your natural. So that always creates a little bit of a different dynamic when it's not just flat going into your natural, and it's kind of nice for Protoss. And it changes some of the matchups. Like PvP, the meta usually is you low ground gateway expand, but now I don't know. It's like meta on meta where everyone goes gateway scout to block the fast expansion. So it's meta on meta, but it kind of introduces some different things when it's a ramp to expand. Maybe Zergs won't all in you as hard on this map because they have to go up a ramp, things like that. But I don't mind it.
Another thing too I noticed about these maps is I don't know if you guys have experienced it a lot yet. I don't do it myself that much, but I wonder how much you're going to get NightShade a lot, because every map I've noticed on these new maps has like a humongous main base. They're always ginormous, like just huge. So
I love that. Big main bases are my favorite thing in the world. You know how many Thors get stuck in my main on all the other maps? Too many.
Jason, when you're floating 1,000 minerals, you can fit 2 command centers in your main. That'd be nice.
Can't see. Bonus.
I swear, okay, not to come after you, Terran players, but I swear that's a Terran thing. When a Terran macro slips, they just throw a command center in their main base. I don't know. I see it happen time and time again. I don't think it's part of the build. They just slap a command center down. And they got 1,000 minerals. It wasn't really a shot at Jason. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I agree with that. The main bases are big, but the thing is, Vibe, you got to remember, this is the Void Ray meta. all the Protoss, if we just open a Void Ray, clear it out.
Yeah.
I mean, go Nidus, man. But we're gonna have like 3 Void Rays.
I mean, ever since everybody figured out where the lurker button is, I haven't gotten Nidus on ladder, so it's hard.
Well, as soon as you say that these maps are good for Nidus, I just think about Rogue winning another world championship. That's his jive right there.
We don't see that much Nidus, I feel like, anymore. It's kind of falling out of flavor again.
I think it might be because honestly main size, because like on this map, I think I think I've done it before when I played Protoss, and most of the maps have similar sizes. You need like 6 pylons, like spread out to have full vision of your main, and that's like a massive investment. And if we're talking early game, like all ins, there's a good chance that if that just goes like noticed, or like it's just not a priority there, maybe the Zerg hid the build really well in some way. There's potential for it again, I feel like.
Yeah, actually, to extend on that, actually you can almost hide things easier on these maps because it takes so long for that first Overlord to get into the main base that like I when I was playing my one-off race game of Zerg, I thought, man, Zerg needs a buff to Overlords. I thought, Jesus. Can't get into this main base.
You gotta go through the speed zones. Oh wait, there are none on this map. Rip.
I found it actually a little bit interesting that you guys were saying that it felt a lot like the first map that we looked at, because I guess my brain looks at the first map and I look at it like McCanning said, where I look at the shape of the first 4 bases. I'm like, oh yeah, that seems very easy to take, and then I look at this and that 4th base does seem a bit out there. So I'm just wondering, is it just the thinness of the map and the location of 5ths, or
I think the attack path seems similar to me.
Yeah, it's like for me, like I like the sequence of like scouting and spreading is just exactly the same, and then control wise, it feels really similar. And at least from like a Zerg's perspective, if I have good creep, which these maps like really incentivize, it's like a safety net for expanding. Like it feels like I can take any base I want as long as I have a full screen length or like 2 screen lengths of creep in front of it. Like I don't feel intimidated to expand wherever I want. The speed zone not being there though definitely does change things in terms of like making it, I would say, maybe more like tech related for Zerg would be more of incentivized. And so you don't really want to maybe just say like Ling Bane is heavy or something like that, because you're gonna get punished more, I feel like, on the Oxide map.
Which map would you guys say that, or rather, what race would you say that this map favors? What's best on this map? Is it a Zerg map because of these bushes and the straightforwardness of the creep, or
it feels like really mutual to me.
Yeah.
I think
that's good.
I think it could depend on your play style as well. Like if you're a Protoss player that loves going Glaive Adept, I think maybe you'd have some decent success versus Zerg on this map. But someone like me, I want to get to Sky Toss. Just A move them. And if I can't get that 4th base up, I'm just out of my comfort zone. So
I love how honest you are. It's amazing. Something that we don't really talk about all that much. What do you guys think about the rocks on this map? Like just in general, the way that they've been using rocks, and like a lot of the rocks nowadays it's like every map has a choke that's going to be opened up more and a path that gets opened up via rocks. So what do you think about that? Because we see both of those here, but it seems to be like just a regular thing map makers are doing.
They seem to be like pretty normal like rocks to me, like the ones at the 3rd to reduce the size of the choke. Like that's a pretty normal thing to see, I think. And the only weird rocks are the ones like right at the bottom of the natural, but those are like the really high HP ones, I think. So I could be wrong on that though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they seem pretty standard too. I feel like you have options as well. I don't know, like you basically you're gonna fixate and focus. If you're gonna play defensive and you're gonna want to like from a Zerg's perspective, if I'm gonna take like the top left base, if I'm spawning a top right and I'm gonna take top left in a straight line across the top, I'm probably gonna want to focus down the rocks between my 3rd and 4th, and vice versa. If I'm gonna take the more of a triangle expansion to my 4th base, I'm going to want to focus on the rocks. I would say especially the very middle ones, not the ones covered in shrub, but the very middle ones, because that's like a massive counterattack path right there that I can abuse. So I feel like it really depends on your style. Like if you're going to play a low tech, like heavy Ling Bane style, you definitely want to get rid of them. But if you're going to play a style that's more tech heavy, I guess, which is not as common, but I feel like you could just leave them up for a while. It depends how you play, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Zerg definitely needs to kill the rocks at the bottom of the natural ramp, because if Terran puts tanks behind that and then uses the choke to the third, that you need to get rid of for sure.
But are those the high HP rocks?
I think they have 2,000 there. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, because we definitely do see that like occasionally in GSL, where some Zerg is trying to kill the rocks, and then the tanks appear behind him, and the Zerg loses the game.
Yeah.
So,
well, the thing that sucks too is if you actually go for like Hellions behind it, you can actually shoot over it too. So it's if the Terran's really active about trying to prevent that, they can definitely keep them going. Probably if that's their focus.
I think we probably just need a buff to queen damage then, so that the Hellions...
Yeah, let's increase that range. Let's go. Yeah.
Maybe less cooldowns on creep, so it's easier to spread.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Speed up that creep again.
Whatever happened to that idea of auto-spreading tumors? That's what I want to know,
Actually,
right?
I would hate that. That would suck.
That's like the most satisfying part of playing Zerg. It's like you're like, dang, I got a nice creep spread right now.
I want to right click my creep and my injects, so I don't have to do anything macro-wise. I just sit there and watch everything happen.
The map just grows. All you have to do is stop droning at 60 and make some units, and then re-drone. It'd be amazing. Oh my god, everyone's a pro gamer. Okay, any final maps on or final thoughts on Oxide?
I started like 0-6 on this map, so it's in my doghouse. That's about it.
Okay.
I like it.
Good map. Yeah, I like it too.
I will say, just as a general thing, not to go anywhere, but there was a period of time. This is kind of like almost a summarizing thought before it, but I'll get into it now. Why not? You know?
Yeah.
There was a period of time. I think more is like HOTS. But there was a period of time where I legitimately felt like every single new map pool we had was somehow worse. I mean, usually like that happens where you feel like it's worse because it's like new and it's changed. But like I swear in HOTS, we would have like some really bad maps, even like back when we used to have 4-player maps and stuff. And they would Blizzard's favorite thing would be to keep the worst map in the map pool. I swear they did it just as a joke. They would always bring the worst map in the map pool to the next season. It was like they were just playing with us. It was like, okay, there's no like your first veto. They're like, yes, this one stays for sure.
Remember how long Arena lasted?
Arena, I did not mind actually.
Yeah, because you probably built Tempest in your main base and floated them across the lane.
I think Arena was when I could make one mothership core and I'd kill your Reaper and I'd win the game. But now, I will say the last couple of years, kudos to the map makers, because honestly, the last like 2 or 3 years, I've never really been like, wow, this is just so much worse. This is a terrible map pool. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there was a period of time in HOTS where I literally felt like every map pool was worse than the last map pool. But maybe now I'm just older and I don't care, but I honestly feel like most of these map pools are pretty good.
Well, they've done a really good job the last 2 seasons of actually getting a good distribution of small maps, medium-sized maps, and large maps, I feel. And if you compare that to earlier this year, even like there was like map pools with like all large maps. So this one just feels so much better to me as a Terran player.
Yeah, you are being oddly positive for a Terran player. Did you have something to do with choosing these maps?
I did judge this map pool, I think, for a team.
That's how you get your map. That's how you get your name after a map. I got you.
But I judged like 3 of them though, and some of them ended up being bad anyways. So.
I don't know. I will say from some sources, I've heard that originally I heard this was going to be a Terran map pool, and now I'm hearing some of the Terrans say it's a Zerg map pool. I'm not really hearing people say it's a Protoss map. I'm just going to throw it out there. I guess I'll just throw it out there and just let it sit, you know?
Protosses don't have map pools, though. Distance is irrelevant when you have Warpins, so it doesn't matter for Protoss.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think we can call anything a Protoss anything until Protoss finally wins a tournament again. Waiting on that.
I love how you completely hate Protoss in Brood War, and then it's like you're on the Protoss agenda in StarCraft 2.
It's not true! People say that. It's not true. What I want to see is every race win tournaments. That's what I want to see.
Yes, but you definitely back up Protoss a fair amount.
Because they don't win anything. Someone's like, oh, they won a super tournament in the last 3 years. It's like
that's Jason probably on his alt. I don't know.
Oh man. All right, so that's Oxide. The last of the new maps, Romanticide. Morris again.
We actually have a meme map in between the two. Let me pull this up real quick. You know how Jason has his own map? Well, we got one for McCanning.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
McCanning LE. Oh shit.
Okay, look, I get behind it. I could get. Maybe it needs more yellow and red to fitting with the color here. But look,
Yeah, but I think it's pronounced
God.
MCanning though, so does it count?
I think we need like 2 less N's in there, and then people will get it right. I don't know. People always botch my name in unreal ways. Look, the way you have this, you got to have it like nothing near my name. Then I'm going to take credit for some Italian pronunciation. It's mine.
That's how you pronounce it.
Just give me an MC and then end with NG, and I'll just say that. This actually is MCanning, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's this is a you have to pronounce it with the Vietnamese pronunciation, and it comes out McCanning.
Gee, there's a tribe in Madagascar that pronounces it. It's actually MCanning, believe it or not.
Should pronounce Protoss should be nerfed.
Amazing. Okay, so Romanticide. Maris again made this one. Romanticide is a macro map with a large or a slightly shorter rush distance than normal. The maze of rocks and line of sight blockers in the middle path offer a lot of positional opportunities. The mineral wall node values are set at 10. So let's take a look at Romanticide.
Can I just say this is the most beautiful map I've ever seen in the history of StarCraft. Look at this map. Wow. Look at the purple, Artosis. Look at it.
It's cool. It's cool looking.
It is purple.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when the game loads up, it's also bright. It feels it does feel like a pretty map when you're playing on it. I can agree with that.
I want to frame it.
I like when it's a pretty map. Like I think it was NightShade that. Yeah, like NightShade. I look at that map. I'm like, it's a little bit drab, right? The other 3 though, I think look really cool.
No, Oxide's like
I like
rusty.
the off colors. Yeah, I like that.
All right.
It's called Oxide. It should look rusty.
I know.
Right?
You can't have 4 Romanicides. They'll think, what is going on? It's too.
As long as they don't have any maps where you like literally have to turn the gamma down because it's too bright. Like Eternal Empire was the perfect example of a map that was so incredibly bright. I actually needed to wear sunglasses on that.
Really?
Map.
I never had an issue with that map. So,
well,
what was the name of the map? There was a map a few years ago that was like, it was a terrible map, but it had like dead leaves everywhere, and it was like orange and white. Map was
dead leaves?
Yeah, it was like God, the map was so bad. I remember losing every game on that map. It was like Blood something, I think.
Blood Boil? No, that's a snowy
Blood
map.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
It was a snowy map.
There was a bad map I thought in HOTS, and I thought it was also called Blood Boil. I don't know, something with that map name. I get myself attached to it. I don't think it's Blood Boil.
Let me check. Okay,
it's gonna be Blood Boil.
Yeah, Blood Boil had the in-base natural.
Yeah, no, it was Blood Boil. It was Blood
really?
Boil. Yeah. Damn, you're good.
Oh God, I
thought that
Blood
map
Boil
was
and they
super
gave me.
pretty when it came out.
I just tried to Google Blood Boil and they gave me a massive zip on Google Images.
I
gotta go, guys. I gotta go.
Good.
Well, that's basically what that map was for playing on it, anyways. But I always thought that was a really pretty one too. Anyways, all that aside, Romanticide, beautiful map. But how does it play? How do you like this
I just have a question to Vibe and Jason. I don't know how much you guys have played this map, but I have this issue. I think it used to happen on, funny enough, Thunderbird, which kind of gives me the same vibes of the mineral patches out there. But when I have 2 bases mining, and you have your main base rally to your natural, the very far mineral patch, your workers get like bugged behind it for a while. You guys get that as well?
I haven't noticed it.
It's just like a normal rally, but then they're just like caught back there. I think it used to happen on Thunderbird as well. Like I'd have my main rally to my natural because I have 2 bases, and like if it's on the very far right mineral patch where you would normally have it, they would derp behind it for a bit.
You're talking about top left spot?
Either spot, I think.
Okay.
This map might have a thing too where when I was playing Protoss, like I couldn't build pylons in certain spots where you should have been able to build it. Like it was like just unbuildable terrain. And I don't know. It might be this. I'm remembering that kind of poorly, but that happened to me like on day 1 of the new season of this season, and I think it might have been this map. I like the natural and like the base below the natural.
I don't know about that.
Huh.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but I
know
haven't had that issue.
I know the bug you're talking about. It's happened to me on other maps where SCVs just
thing?
randomly get stuck behind.
All right. Well,
weirdly
now
positioned
keep your
mineral
eye out
lines.
for it on this map now.
Yep.
Okay, but to talk about the map, this is one of the maps. I mean, you obviously see a 3 base here, but that 4th base on the low ground. Also, I do like the idea. Like basically, what this map maker wanted was if you mine out that the mineral patches, you can take that aggressive base if you want to put on pressure. Like it'd be good for like a Terran going for like, you know, like 10 Rax Marine versus Zerg or something to get across the map. This map, you know, I like playing macro, so this map, it's okay, I think. Again, I got to get more comfort at what I think is the best 4th base to take, because there's some potential on the low ground, but it also feels so wide open. But then like that 4th base, I don't know. They can kind of like, they can be on your 4th base pretty quickly. They can be in your natural. I don't know. I don't dislike this map, but I think this map, you're definitely more prone to aggression and running into trouble.
I don't know if you guys will experience this, but this is something that I've experienced on this map as well that I've never had happen to me ever in StarCraft before. But if you look at the main natural, then you go in like a straight line down from like to the what looks like it could be your 5th base or something, like in the middle of the map. I always forget that expansion exists. Like I honestly like expand around it. I'm like, oh shit, I have a free base over here. I
actually forget that too.
Yeah, it's like below the natural. I never take
it. Is it because it doesn't have a purple circle? Like you need a purple circle under every
literally,
base.
I just don't know it's there. I'm like, oh fuck, there's a base there. But like yeah, I think this map is good though. I like it. It's the mineral patches between the rich base in the very center to like your 3rd. Those only have 10 minerals per patch.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's actually not that hard to defend because you have high ground in every angle, and one of them is still also blocked by more mineral patches and rocks. So it's not that crazy. I actually go for that almost always as my 4th on this map because it just feels good.
Really?
Yeah. The thing that makes me always feel good though is once again this map. Look at the bushes. I feel really good about creep spread. It feels so good to be like, damn. I feel like I could take any base I want as long as I have creep like just really heavily covering the map right now. So
I love getting through the middle is a little bit of a pain. Those are bushes in the middle, right? Or
no,
are they just terrain blockers?
You can like, jump like over the rock, and then you can go between the bushes. There's no actual full line of sight blocker.
You just keep moving.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you can get full creep extensions without overlords. It's actually really fast at spreading creep.
What do you think, Jason? Which 4th base would you take on this map?
Honestly, all 3 options for a 4th base are pretty good for Terran. I mean, maybe the one to the right of the main, like all the way to the right on the low ground, I don't think that's the greatest, but
yeah,
getting the mining out the minerals, like you said, and then getting the high Vespian geyser is really good because that base itself has 3 ramps leading up to it, and it also connects very fluidly to the natural, so you can bounce between your natural ramp and then the ramps to your 4th base like very quickly, and tanks can cover that area quite easily as well. So super macro map in my opinion. I've had a lot of good macro games so far on this map.
Huh. Okay. I was gonna say I got to experiment more with that 4th base thing, because I mean I do see there is destructible debris on their side. Like they could break those rocks, but it's kind of tight. Maybe that is the safest base to take, that forward one. If you like, I'm thinking as a Protoss on the 3rd base, maybe you make a couple gateway full wall on the right hand side at your 3rd, and then you take that as your 4th. Might be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, if you take that base and you secure it, you're guaranteed the base behind it as well, because it's so easy to just run down there and defend that as well. So
things to think about.
Where do you think this goes as far as favored? Which race is going to be strongest on this map so far?
I almost every game I've played on this map, it almost always turns into like a war of attrition. Like literally, like both players just like fortify their locations because it does feel like not that challenging to defend on this map. And then I don't know, I feel like every race has a chance, but I feel like this map will generate like really good macro games again. It like has that standard feel where like you can actually have a real game out of it, and like for like since there's like ramps like leading up to the 3rd and the natural, I feel like it might be questionable about how hard it would be to like all in somebody on this map. And in terms of like if you want to go around that to be on the high ground, you have to go all the way around the middle up to the top and then back down through the 3rd base into the natural again. So your distance to attack is super long if you want to avoid the ramp. So if I feel like it just comes down to like who can play the late game better, if it's not going to be like some type of a weird all in, which I think is really fun because I think every race has a chance.
Cool.
Yeah, this map's it's got the 3-base Thunderbird layout, but it doesn't have the mineable minerals like at the third like Thunderbird had.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I actually think Terran will do decent versus Zerg on this. I mean, I guess it comes down to like how easy this middle base is. Like I think if Zerg is able to get this rich gas geyser in the middle, then maybe it becomes a Zerg map. But I think there's decent spots. I mean, it is kind of open on these fourth bases, but I feel like a big Terran push, like 8 racks, 10 racks type stuff versus Zerg could be really hard to hold on this map. I don't know. I haven't played this map. Of all the new maps, I haven't played this one as much as some of the other ones, but yeah, I mean, I see the points. I think maybe this is more of a macro map than I thought originally, but I don't know. This map, I feel like it's tough. I mean, Vibe's saying he's having these long stalemate games, but I feel like this is one of the maps where it gets, I don't know, it gets tough to take the bases.
One thing to be aware of too in ZVT is if you break the rocks in the middle of the map, like those big long ones, and then they're like the other little ones just like in front of like the 5th base area. That's so much wide open surface area you can abuse. So if you have like full creep spread there, and the Terran's going to push you, and you have like every attack avenue at whatever way you want to go, it's extremely scary for Terran to push there. I think if the Zerg has control of the game at that point, like of their side at least, like it's a big wide open area.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I feel like once you get past to like 4, sorry Jason, but I feel like once you get past to like 4 bases, I don't know. I mean, if you have that middle base, I feel like this map though, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what I think. Jason, go just save me right now.
I was
Jason.
literally just gonna say I like the map pool. It's a good map pool for Terran, I think.
Yeah.
I actually have a thought about this map with that rich geyser base. I'm interested, Vibe, that you say that that's actually kind of the easy one that you like to take as your fourth, because if you look at the history of rich Vespene geysers, like I believe the first rich geyser map we had was, hell was the name of that map last year, where it was all Ravager all-ins because it was like the 3rd base for Zerg.
Oh, it was
yeah, you guys know the map. And then
was it
the
Everdream?
Low ground third?
Was it Everdream, the one we just had?
No. I don't think
so. It was the golden one. It was World of Sleepers, I think.
Yeah,
World of Sleepers.
About,
That's it. So that started with the rich geyser that was too close, and Zerg was taking that as a 3rd, and it just was like kind of a silly map, right? But then after that, I feel like every rich Vespene map, the rich Vespene was in an area that was pretty damn hard to take. And it was always like kind of towards the middle of the map, right? So it became like much less of an issue. But then the way you're describing this, and now that I'm kind of looking at it through your eyes here, Vibe, what you described, how it's like all high ground and you can just mine out those minerals and it's pretty defendable. How is that going to affect this map? Because I think you're actually right about the base layout. That does actually look really reasonable to defend, but it's a rich geyser. So it's like, is this going to mess up the map over time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could do some really high-powered timings, like maybe like lurker heavy, but like pushes will be crazy on this map, or something like that. But I think the big theme about this ladder pool is I think it makes everyone feel good because like, except for Protoss is just kind of the addition, but like Terran and Zerg, Terran's like, I love this map pool because it's really small and I feel like I can be aggressive and control it really well. And Zerg's like, I love this map pool because it's really easy to spread creep on. So it gives both players like an advantage that they feel like they have. And it's gonna, they both are real, but I feel like it really just comes down to like, I feel like the biggest thing about this entire map pool, like the theme of these maps that are like a bit smaller, is like the first push is going to dictate the game really hard. Like if the first push goes well, it's going to have more severe like implications as to like how the game is going to go, either Terran favored or Zerg favored from that point on.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So overall, from the 4 maps that they just added in, what is each of your favorites? I know Jagannatha is yours, McCanning, but what about you other guys? What is your actual favorite map in this pool from those 4 maps?
I don't want to vote solely off of how pretty the map is, but I do think Romanticide is the best map for me. It fits my play style the most, which is
it looks the most interesting to me, actually. Like just looking at them and knowing I'm going to commentate on all of these maps, I'm like, oh, I not just the look, but the shape of it. I actually really like what Vibe was saying with that being the fourth base and that can be in your center of defense. I like it. It looks cool.
Yeah. I think this is probably my favorite map too, because out of all the maps I've played, this map every single time almost always creates a game that's just like really long, and it's like that war of attrition battle where you just have to like take good engagements later on in the game. Like I would say my average game time on this map is like 20 minutes plus. Like it feels really fun. Yeah, it's really this is actually the most fun map pool in my opinion out of the whole map pool.
Huh.
Wow. If it shows to say anything, I mean the Zerg and Terran seem to like it a whole heck of a lot. That's what I'll tell you. I will say, I you know, it's still so early. I mean, I think it would be okay to have like at least a side episode in a month and a half from now, you know, 2 months from now with other players to see how they feel about the maps, just to check in on it. Because the early things I have heard from other people is people generally like this map pool more than the last map pool, is what I'm hearing from people. And I mean, honestly, I'm one of the guys that I need some time. I'm not really sure how I feel about most of them, but. Yeah, I think
it's hard to tell if they're just
promise.
saying that because Golden Wall is just out of the map pool, though.
They kept Submarine. I don't know how you guys hated Golden Wall way more.
You don't like Submarine?
Submarine got vetoed way more than Golden Wall, and I hate Submarine. Are you kidding me? I always do that map.
Actually, it's interesting you say that. Like, oh, why don't you talk to some people months down the road? Because normally when new maps come out, I just am like, okay, let's talk about the new maps. But oftentimes I do it before the season even starts, and then it's screwed up because we just have to guess. But
right.
So I kind of plan this so that you guys would have some games on the maps.
Right.
But I did want to this time talk about the maps that they kept in as well, to just kind of go over that. Because these four are joining the pool, but then they're also keeping Submarine, Deathaura, and Pillars of Gold.
Yep.
So yeah, I wanted to just like get your guys' thoughts now that you've played those maps a lot and they're going to be here for the whole season, just how these maps have actually developed, like a fixed opinion on those. So if we could go over those, that would be great. Let's start with Deathaura. I mean, everyone knows Deathaura. Everyone's seen a ton of games on this. Everyone's played a ton of games on this. It's the one with the zones in the center. We'll bring it up on the screen. But yeah, what do you guys think about Deathaura at this point? Do you like it being kept in the pool? How is the balance for it? Are you enjoying your games on it, etc.?
If I'm not playing Protoss and getting cannon rushed on it, I love it. That was the worst cannon rush map though ever.
This is a tough one to defend cannons on.
You as the Protoss player.
Yeah.
In a PvP. Okay, let's get the book out. He's talking PvP, guys, not PvZ.
PvP too. Those cannons can reach the mineral line almost. Like it's really
as they
close.
should.
Like look at that main base. Look how thin that thing is, dude. It's ridiculous. But
PvP, this map's good for.
It's not only that the cannons can go on the low ground, it's that there's no room on the high ground to build literally anything.
Okay, is that all you have on that map, Vibe?
No, I think it's
My Vibe is like, I don't like PvP here. I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad that you're here, Vibe. Thank you.
No, I like it though overall. I feel like early game like 12 pulls, like early ling aggressions and stuff, they can be a little awkward sometimes, but it's still very doable. The fact that the natural ramp is super close to the hatchery makes it really easy to defend cheese because you can easily tuck your queens away and it's not hard at all. I don't really mind the expansion locations at all. I feel good about them. I don't feel like they're hard to defend. I feel like the biggest thing about Zerg is Zergs who struggle, I feel like all you have to do literally is just get better creep spread. If you have good creep spread, it's so easy to take bases, and none of these bases here feel awkward. So overall, I like that they kept this map. I think it's one of the better ones in the last map pool. So I like it.
I think there's way too, and this might just be me, but I think there's a lot of strength behind that double Vespian, rich Vespian gas base, to the point that like if you just get that base early on, it is incredibly difficult to catch up. So I don't know how you feel about having two of those geysers, but overall, I like
that is the weird thing to add in, I guess, isn't it? I think this is our. Wait, did Thunderbird have a double rich? Yeah, Thunderbird had the first double rich.
Thunderbird had a double one, but it was like in the most undefendable location in the world.
I mean, I don't know. I would say, I mean, this is probably my favorite map left in the map pool right now. Like this would be my number one. Obviously, PvP is tough can rush, but I mean, look at this map, 4 bases compared to all the other maps. I mean, this is one of the easiest maps to get 4 bases as a Protoss player. This is probably my favorite map to play versus Zerg versus Protoss. Well, versus Zerg versus Terran. I don't know. I mean, sometimes Zerg can be tough because they can eventually get that gas geyser, but you know, it's not free to get that gas geyser, and it's usually later in the game. And I don't know. It can be tough, but I do. This is probably my favorite map right now in the map pool.
Yeah, this one seems to not get vetoed very much in tournaments. I feel like I cast this in just about every single best of 3 that we have.
Yeah, I feel like it just feels comfortable, and like the fact that the rocks, they just open the map up so wide if you get rid of them in the middle. It feels like a really comfortable map to play on.
Yeah, the one complaint I have is I feel like the acceleration zones don't really do anything on this map. You know, it's like we never really see anything go on there other than, you know, units run through to go scout or whatever.
There's really no attack path. That's the problem. Like if you go through those speed zones, you end up like between every other base. Like there's no clear direction to the next base you're going to attack when you go through them. So
seems like a very safe try for acceleration zones, where it's like it's not going to ruin the map, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so overall, a very good, a very loved map.
Yeah, I like that map.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. The next map that was kept in there, Pillars of Gold. How are you guys liking Pillars of Gold at this point?
it's not the best Terran map in the world, but
Yeah.
largely dependent on playstyle again. But Bio and TVZ, I hear a lot of people complaining about it. It's very hard to defend the third base. It even has an effect in TVP because that blink in at the third is quite easy for the Protoss to bounce in between as well. But I personally don't veto it. I actually like this map quite a bit because it, again, fits my playstyle of really easy to take 4 bases. Even a 5th base on this map isn't too difficult, actually.
Okay.
You can go, Vibe.
All right. I like it. I mean, I like the ramp of the natural. Things that decentivize more all in is always going to be in my favor of like, that's a plus. The one thing about this map though, that I've noticed just playing it many times is I almost always, it's like guaranteed that I'm gonna get my 3 base setup. It's not a problem. But if you ever get behind on this map, I feel like this map is very punishing to get a 4th base. If you're just like not able to control it right away, it just feels like it's a stretch to do that. So from my perspective, it's just, I really like it. It's a really good map. It's just one of those maps that I feel like if I make mistakes early, I'm just dead. It's hard to like recover.
Yeah. I would not say I really like it. I mean, as a pro, the thing is, like, I understand what Vibe's saying. I would actually say that happens more to Zerg players when they're trying to get like their 5th base, if they're behind and they're sitting on 4 bases. If you have a lot, you can really do a lot of harass and stuff on the sides. You can kind of spread them thin once you get to a certain spot. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled to see this map stay in the map pool. I mean, it's not terrible. Obviously, it's okay versus Terran. Versus Zerg, I have hit and miss games. Like sometimes I think it's really hard versus Zerg. You know, they're able to get big, you know, Hydra Banelings on both sides, maybe Lurkers on both sides. You're my 3rd and 4th, of course. I mean, it's big, it's open. You know, I feel I like it somewhat to an extent because I'm somewhat comfortable on it, but yeah, I was not thrilled that this and Submarine stayed in the map pool. Not my favorite 2 maps. Of course, I can play that. Well, I veto Submarine, but I can play Pillars of Gold. I just have a question for you guys: is how many times do you think is too many for a map pool to stay in? Like me personally, I mean, yes, we had Eternal Empire for a long time, but I would have been okay with Eternal Empire for another season because I mean that map I actually really liked, and I don't know, you reach a limit. I remember I think the 2 longest, I would say, not to completely derail us, was it Overgrowth? Was that map? What was it?
Overgrowth was around for
over
a long
something.
time.
Yeah. And I loved that map, and by the end, I absolutely hated that map.
Yeah.
So, like, there definitely is the window, and then, of course, the other map I think that was around forever was Abyssal Reef.
Yeah.
Where, again, you know, I did like Abyssal Reef, and then I ended up hating Abyssal Reef. So there is definitely a point, I think, where you do hate a map for too long. But, yeah, I would rather have had, like, Ice and Chrome, even though Ice and Chrome can be tough. I would rather have had one of those maps stay than Pillars of Gold.
Yeah. I feel like 2 seasons, maybe 3 at the most, is good. I think 2 is a really good solid number for like a recurring map, just because I feel like it forces variety and creative thought. And even though I'm someone who personally hates doing cheesy builds and I hate getting cheesed and, you know, things like that, I definitely like my standard macro stuff. It's just like, it's not as healthy for the game overall if every game turns into like, oh, this map is standard and so is the whole pool every time. So I think it's good to have like a map that makes you feel awkward on, that you have to think about how you play and like actually play to the map rather than play to your one play style. So I like it. I think it's always good. And I am also someone who loves change. I actually get excited after playing this game for a decade to be like, ooh, new maps, new possibilities, new builds, new like metas could maybe develop here with like weird stuff that could go on. So I like it. 2 seasons is my opinion good.
Agree.
Yeah. I think 2 to 3 seasons, because like you said, if you have a map around too long, you do grow to hate it. Yeah. Even if it's the greatest map, like Abyssal Reef, I was so excited at the beginning of that map and that they kept keeping it in. And then by the end, I'm like, I already can see the entire game. I already can see the cloud of corruptors flying over to fight the carriers. And like, I'm like, we know this map too well. And it's too much.
I'll ask you, how does Brood War handle it? Is Brood War like the same, or is it different? Or
yeah, no, we do it differently in Brood War. So in Brood War, we have 2 maps, because you kind of have to keep in real standard maps for people to ladder in Brood War, because the maps are way different in Brood War. Like here, I think we actually have a really good variety this season, but in Brood War, we get maps that are so fucking weird that it's like, oh, this is completely different. You have to do completely different play on this. But there's 2 maps that have been around forever that are never leaving the ladder pool. It's already been announced. They're just always there because they're the 2 maps that people like fighting.
They're literally like these are forever maps.
They have been in since the beginning. Both of the maps are like 10 years old.
That's
Everyone's played on 1 million times. And the thing is, like, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. One of the maps I don't like personally, because it's just hard for Terran. So I vetoed that one finally, which was the best decision I ever made in my life. Like, I love my wife and my children, but vetoing Fighting Spirit was number 1. Now, but the other one, like, I've now actually, and I loved like Circuit Breakers for a long time, but at this point, I'm like, I've played it so much, and I know exactly how the games look, and it's just like getting boring. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually really sick of this map. I actually just want something new, you know. But it's remaster came out 3 years ago, I think, right? And 3 years of Circuit Breakers. I play Circuit Breakers 3-4 times a day for 3 years, and I'm like, I could use something new personally. Yeah, I like the rotation in StarCraft 2 with maps, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's a good point though. Okay, so Pillars of Gold, not as beloved as Deathaura, but okay.
It's on my tournament veto list, but it's not on my ladder veto list.
Okay, I can find that.
And the last map that's being kept, Submarine. What do we think about Submarine?
I love it. Terrans love this map. It's small. You can all in. The Protoss dies, and then end of story.
Yeah, this one gets vetoed a fair amount.
Oh yeah.
McCanning, how do you feel about this map?
This is the map that like I am also like, I usually don't veto any maps. I just do any map. But like there reached a point where playing Zerg felt awkward on this map. Playing Terran felt like a nightmare on this map, and I just vetoed it. So I literally vetoed it like not even that deep into the last season. So for them to keep a map that I had hard vetoed since last season, it was less than ideal for me to see this. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Terrans definitely seem to pick this more than any other race. I don't know. I understand keeping it because, you know, Blizzard likes to have one small map, even, so, you know, one map that maybe is not the favorite. For some reason, they like to keep it in just to, I don't know, spite me. I don't know. But I understand having a different map than a bunch of macro maps. So I can get behind a small map staying, but this small map specifically, not a big fan.
Yeah, okay. I'm not a fan either. It's like it's small, and look at the bushes. They're full wall bushes. Like, there's no gaps. There's no gaps. They're always blind. You can't spread creep properly. And no, it definitely.
I can't imagine. I feel actually really bad for you, Vibe, having to send a 25 mineral fastest unit in the game across there to spread your creep. That's insane. How do you? Ever
since I got the ability to put a tumor on a ramp, I've been spoiled. Okay, I haven't been circling anymore. Yeah, I don't really like this map. This map feels like it feels like tight locations. There's a decent amount of like ramps to like counterattack paths, but it just feels like this map is super tight. There's like very abusable cliff spots constantly, and it's so small that if you don't play a hyper aggro build, it just feels like the second you're taking damage and you take one bad engagement, you're just dead. You just get run over because you just get prayed pushed down until you die. So I don't like this map either. It just feels awkward to play.
All right. All right, Jason, no one likes your Terran maps, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't even like this map because, like I said, it just doesn't fit my playstyle. Like, you honestly can take 4 bases, not too terribly on this map as a Terran.
Yeah. If you can get to that stage, you can. I agree. You can kind of do it.
But it's not my favorite map. I like to play it to the end, and this is a map where you will get all in on in almost every matchup.
It is always funny though, the way you say is how it doesn't play to your play style. I think about that where last season, Golden Wall, if you were a Terran player playing a Protoss, most Terran players did not like Golden Wall, right? There was the gold base. But when I would play a Terran, like when I played Future, for example, I vetoed Golden Wall as a Protoss player because just every time they play that map, they would double supply deep with the ramp. Things would get weird. TY did a million different 1-base all-ins. I'm like, okay, is he expanding? Is he 1-basing? So, it's kind of funny how the map pool plays out per player, where like that map, most Protosses like that map. I did not like that map versus Terran at least. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I guess that's the maps. That's our current map pool. What do you guys think overall of the map pool? Let me just read off real quick. We went over all of them: Submarine, Deathaura, Pillars of Gold, Oxide, NightShade, Romanticide, and Jagannatha or Juggernaut. With no R in it, but it's like Juggernaut. So sick. What do you guys think of the map pool overall?
It's all good. I think if you just veto Submarine, you'll have a good time. Like Submarine's the only map I don't like in this pool.
I mean, I like all the maps. It's a great map pool, honestly. I'm just comparing it to how we had it 2 seasons ago, and I did not like that at all. So I'm very grateful for this map pool. Very grateful that, like I said before, there's a couple small maps, a couple medium maps, a couple large maps. Makes it so everybody can kind of veto the maps that don't really fit their styles, and they still have a lot of good options left over. So overall, I love it.
I would, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to see a map pool list of the last like 4 seasons we've had, because Jason says the season 2 seasons ago, like I can't remember the 7 maps then. Like, for example, did I like last season's map pool more than the season before it? I mean, I'd like to see the maps, to be honest. I think I probably did like last season's map pool more. I think obviously it's still way too early to tell if I like this map season more than the last map season. I need way more time on it. But I definitely think it has some promise. And I think generally the community seems pretty excited about these maps. So if they're excited, I can be excited. And I think, you give me a month, 2 months, maybe this will be a map pool I like more than the last map pool. So we'll see.
We always do an episode on new map pools. I think just about every season for Pylon Show. And I think this is one of the more positive reviews for a season of maps from you guys. And overall, like I remember some of the big complaints we've had in episodes like a year ago and so, where it was like, oh my God, every map is gigantic, that type of thing, right? Or, oh my God, all the maps look the same. But this feels like there's a lot of variety here. I like just visually, it's very appealing with like how they look different. It's weird when we have a map pool where if I just glance at the map real quick while I'm talking to Tasteless, I might actually mistake which one it is because 2 of them look just alike, like that poor Alexander era where there was like 2 or 3 maps that were like, I would confuse them with each other because they were similar enough.
They're like wooden tile sets.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I like it as someone who views a lot of StarCraft and commentates a lot. I'm excited about this map pool. I think it's going to be a good one.
Now, does GSL have like their new ones they've taken yet? Do they have all these maps now, or what?
We're in the middle of the season, so no.
So they don't change.
Okay. Yeah, occasionally if the map pool changes, like between the round of 24, round of 16, sometimes we'll take them on. But we're gonna keep the map pool that we have right now, as far as I know. Yeah, and then this map pool we should have for Super Tournament number 2. So at least we'll see the Greeks playing then on those. Yeah.
I mean that tournament right now, Kings of what's the Kings of?
Oh yeah.
That's on the new map pool, or it started on the new map pool before it was there. So we'll see what people are doing already.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay. Any final thoughts?
Hold on. Cobra's giving us season 1. What was that? Zen. Oh, Zen was a bad one, right? Didn't we not like Zen?
No one liked Zen, really. Zen it was a beautiful map.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful map.
Oh, yeah, see, I definitely think I like the last map pool more than that one with Zen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Security and Industry, no one liked that map. No one liked that map.
What did that map look like? I can't even remember.
It looked like a giant scrap station.
Yeah,
with all the
Ugh.
zones behind the main, like
yeah,
with the island in the top right.
Yeah, there was a gold base in bottom left.
Yeah, see.
Oh yeah, that was
that map
a brutal
was
map.
so
to Terran.
bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, there was an island with like 700 slow zones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so look, we are trending in the right direction. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We're getting there, dude.
The maps are getting better.
So you do forget what the other maps were like, and then you just a new map pool comes around, you forget the last map pool, but you're so easy to judge. And so this is the one we just had, right? This one I'm seeing right now, Deathaura.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just season 2.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, I definitely didn't mind that last map pool. I think some of them were kind of big, maybe kind of good, like Ice and Chrome and Pillars of Gold, pretty big. But all right, yeah, all right. I think maybe this could be the best of the season so far. Judging, I mean, they're both gonna be better than season 1. I'll say that right now. Zen and Port,
for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think the map makers are doing a great job. I think our great judge, Jagannatha Jason, is doing a good job.
More people need to judge. If you're a pro player and you complain about maps, sign up to judge. Thank you. That's all.
Yes. Seriously. This is such an important thing. I feel like StarCraft's just going to be more enjoyable because of this map pool compared to the previous ones. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, especially. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well,
I was gonna say.
Oh, this is getting awkward. I gotta go.
You can go. You're the host. Okay, let me take over. I was gonna say, because there are some people out there that are just, especially in Europe, man. Some of those guys are just massive. It's like, even like Marine and Hearthstone. Whenever I listen to Hearthstone, he knows literally everything about everything. Every single matchup, every single map, every single race. Like I don't know if Hearthstone has done the map pools, but like he'd be a perfect guy because his mind in StarCraft, like he knows every timing. Like one time I casted Home Story Cup with him, and I'm just like, I thought of something, and he's like, "Nah, mate, that's wrong." He didn't actually do that, but he knows so much about everything. It's like daunting. I'm like, Jesus, he's too smart.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I feel safer with Estrella because when I say something stupid around him, he'd be like, "Oh, that's a really interesting idea, Artosis." As soon as I hear that, I'm like, "Oh shit, I said something dumb." All right, that was great, you guys. Thank you so much for going over those maps. That was like really informative and fun stuff. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the map discussion. I think we're just gonna get into Patreon questions from there. You guys ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.